If you find that you're in a constant cycle of spending more than you intend to each month, then you're overspending. Excessive spending can lead to financial instability and may even lead to debt. At the very least, it definitely diminishes our ability to save and invest, which prevents us from gradually accumulating wealth over time. Today, I'll talk about 5 sneaky reasons why you may be in a cycle of overspending, but more importantly, how to break free of this cycle. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Carly. I work as a model and I also work as a PM in tech. With all of my different jobs and hustles over the last 3 years, I've done a ton of research into how to manage my money well to build wealth. And on this channel, I talk all things personal finance, modeling, and lifestyle. The first reason why you may be overspending and living above your means is that you're consuming too much social media. These platforms like to make the bulk of their revenue off of ads, and brands also like to follow the marketing rule of 7. The marketing rule of 7 basically says that a potential customer must see an ad roughly 7 times before they are inspired to take action. I think this number is a bit arbitrary. I don't know if the number 7 is rooted in science exactly. But the general idea is that brands want their potential customers to be exposed to the brands as much as possible. And social media platforms on which the average person spends 2.5 hours per day on are the perfect opportunities to do this. Some ads are more obvious, like literal ad breaks in between the content that you intend to consume. And these ads are literally targeted to you based off of the information and data that these social media engines have on you. On top of that, they might use psychological hacks like flash sales or limited time offers designed specifically to make you make purchases in the moment. There's also influencer marketing, where influencers will organically include ads or sponsorships in their videos. And one of the most common ways of organic influencer marketing are haul videos, which are common across many different types of niches. When we consume content around hauls, we're more vulnerable to trends, which generally influence us to purchase these items. But trendy items generally go out of style within 3 years, if even. Trends are always evolving, and trends primarily get pushed to us through social media. So if you're trying to cut back on spending and you spend a lot of time on social media, be aware of what type of content you tend to consume. Pay attention to your spending habits and notice how they might be influenced by what you see on social media. Anytime I see my friends or acquaintances living quite luxuriously, sometimes I've definitely thought to myself, how are they affording this, and am I doing something wrong? It's human nature to compare yourself to how you see other people living. But when you buy things, make sure that you aren't seeking external validation for these purchases. This could lead to a cycle of constantly purchasing items that you don't even need. Seeing friends or influencers engage in luxurious experiences or make expensive purchases can trigger the fear of missing out. The fear that other people are enjoying a more fulfilling life than you can influence you to spend beyond your means in an attempt to keep up. But also remember that we only get to see what other people allow us to see. And usually those are only the highlight reels of their lives, or maybe they're just cosplaying rich. We don't know the full extent of people's situations, so sometimes it can be quite dangerous to compare ourselves to something that isn't even rooted in reality. Constantly comparing ourselves to others can lead to a never-ending cycle of trying to match or even outdo our peers. This mindset can result in making certain spending decisions to maintain an image that most people don't even notice, or they might not even care about. For example, people largely don't notice if you rewear the same thing on a day-to-day basis. And if they do, they probably don't care. I wear pretty much the same 5 things every time I film a video. The main item of which is this black turtleneck. No one has ever commented asking why I am wearing the same thing every time they see me on YouTube. To escape the trap of social pressure and comparison, define your personal values. Think about how you might want to invest in yourself to accomplish the goals that you're trying to reach. You might also be living above your means because of a fear of missing out. You don't have to say yes to every single social plan. If you are invited to a social plan where you aren't 100% sure that you're gonna have fun or get any other type of benefit out of, I hereby give you permission to say no. You might as well do something else with your time that you know you would 100% enjoy. For many events, you may have to consider the cost of transportation getting there and back, the cost of the event itself, and the cost of getting ready. Even if the event is absolutely free, you're still spending your time, which, depending on who you ask, is even more valuable than your money. And I'm not saying that you should be completely in solitude to save your time and money. Rather, if you don't think you'll fully enjoy a plan that you're invited to, maybe plan something else that you would look forward to that would be more worth your money and time. I think one example of FOMO for me has always been Coachella. I have never been to Coachella, but every time the season rolls around, I always have many friends who go. They always post very very aesthetic photos on social media, and they seem like they're having a ton of fun. I always think to myself, maybe I should just go one time to experience it. But then I realized that unless I pay for the VIP package, which I don't even know is probably very expensive, but the value I would get out of listening to artists that I don't really always know very well is simply not worth the cost of the ticket, the cost of waiting for Ubers, or camping on a campground. Buying overpriced food, basically an experience that is well into the thousands of dollars for a few days in the desert, for experiences that for me just aren't worth it. It's the same thought process every single year, and maybe one year it'll happen, but for now, for the past few years, I've come to the same conclusion. If you get a raise and you find that you're still saving the same amount of money on a monthly basis, maybe even less money, then you have definitely fallen prey to lifestyle creep. It's the idea that when you have increased income, you also start to upgrade in other areas of your life. This might be dining out more, maybe dining at more expensive restaurants, maybe it's upgrading your living situation or buying more items as you window shop. Some of these scenarios are really subtle. It's usually small incremental increases that might go unnoticed until one day you realize that you're spending more than you used to. Every time you increase your quality of life, it's really difficult to scale back. That's why every time I sign up for a subscription, so like any subscription service or a recurring purchase, say a weekly coffee on a Monday, I think very hard about it because I know it's increasing my quality of life, which then means I'm not going to be able to save as much money. Adopting a mindful approach to spending by questioning the necessity of each expense can help us really determine whether a purchase will serve our ultimate goal of building wealth. If boredom, stress, or sadness has recently inspired you to purchase something that you don't need, then you're not alone. A survey found that 69% of Americans admit to emotional spending, and this has pushed 39% of them into debt. Advertisers use psychological tactics to trigger certain emotions in consumers to inspire them to spend more money. This is a fact. Usually we don't think about the fact that we're being manipulated unless you work in the advertising industry, in which you might know the actual strategy is being implemented. Advertisers know that it takes less than 3 seconds for us to have a gut reaction to something. If you think about the saying, people don't remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. Studies show that emotional advertising creates a more visceral impression on the memory center of the brain. These advertisements can influence people to correlate a specific emotion with a brand. The goal is to influence consumers to purchase more from this brand. To overcome this, ask yourself how you will feel about a potential purchase tomorrow, maybe a week from now, or a month from now. Also think about your long-term financial goals. Is this item that you want to purchase worth extending the amount of time it will take to reach your financial goals? And if it's not worth it, then don't make the purchase. Escaping the trap of overspending is not only a financial necessity, but it's also a fundamental step toward achieving financial wellness. Once we understand the impacts and the root causes of consuming too much social media, of social comparison, of the impacts of the fear of missing out, of lifestyle creep, and of emotional spending, we can be more self-aware and more intentional with the items that we do buy. Putting a stop to overspending leads to the freedom to shape a more fulfilling future for yourself. With more money, you have more options. That's it for today, but before you go, did you notice that I just put this button here for the 7th time in this video? If you haven't noticed, maybe that 7th time will inspire you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you like this video, I think you would also really enjoy this video here on 5 money mistakes that you might be making to sabotage yourself financially.